Kemba got it. You were a couple.
I mean, that's cool and all, but, like, when you go to 5 straight finals, I respect those guys, but when you go to 5 straight, I mean, it takes more than just a couple of NBA guys. It's like an all-time team, but whatever. That's not. I'd rather win a championship than be 13 All-NBA, so it's all good.
Clay's ineligibility for the Supermax deal shrinks the Warriors' bidding leverage over other teams this summer. When he becomes a free agent, the Warriors' max offer will be $190 million over 5 years, $30 million less than a Supermax amount. But that's still $50 million more than any other team can offer for a guy that's averaging 19 points per game this postseason. Look, y'all. Permit me to go first take mode for just a second. As a member of the media, I think it's an absolute disgrace that we're in a position to cost somebody $30 million.
Amen.
Having said all of that, it's a disgrace. Having said all of that, outside of the first 7 games of the season, when he scored, he was averaging like 14% from three-point range, only 15 points per game, 39% shooting from the field. Last 71 games, 22 points, 47% from the field, 42% from three-point range, and you're on a 2-time reigning defending NBA champion. I don't understand how he didn't make all NBA 1, 2,
I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to tell you. Because I have a vote like you do. And I was just telling Doc this.
I want to hear this.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had my ballot back. I'm going to tell you who I voted for, third team. I voted for Kemba Walker and Kyrie Irving. Those are my third-team guards. And part of this, Steve, now you know this when you're considering a ballot. You're looking at teams. Yes, I give extra consideration to guys who are on winning teams. But also then you look at a guy who can't be on a winning team and is doing the best he can and has him close, which is the Kemba Walker situation. I think that's how we describe that. Bradley Beal, another one who's got this designation tied to his money. One, we shouldn't have it. That designation should not be tied financially
at all
to any player in the league, and the league has to change that. But then you look at this, and I have the ballot back. It's a regular season ballot, just like everything else we vote for. Regular season. And now I wish I had it back because I would have voted for Klay Thompson. Who would I left off? I'd have left Kyrie off.
Yes.
But that's a postseason reaction. That's a reaction to his postseason, what I consider failure. Right. And I would vote for Klay Thompson, and I'm sorry I did it the way I did.
That's not fair to the guys that did make the playoffs. Because,
I know
it's a tough. It just shouldn't be connected.
But I would say because they're so good, it worked against them.
Yep.
And
because the team's so good.
Yeah, the team is so good because you have the fans that love them. Like, I love watching Golden State play. They play the right way. They play together. The style is up and down. And, of course, they can shoot. Listen, Klay Thompson is one of the best two-way players we got in the game. And if you line up all them 2 guards, I'm taking Klay Thompson, right? Because that guy going to give you everything that you want. Who else would say, come KD to the team and I'll take a back seat? I'm going to be the one who will suffer because KD came to the squad.
Well, let me say this to go to Doc. When you say that, one could make the argument that Klay is the best 2 guard in the game because everybody he's been compared to is a 1. You got the Kyrie, you got the Damian Lillard, you got the Russell Westbrooks, you got the Kemba Walkers of the world. You got Harden.
He's a 2.
You could say he's a 2, but D'Antoni treats him like a 1 because he touches the ball every daggone possession.
But you wouldn't have voted, but I know you voted for Harden and Steph Curry first team.
Yes, I did.
And it's okay.
But that's okay. Because they deserve that.
Exactly.
But Klay deserved to be on that team.
Exactly.
Make no mistake about it.
Doc.
And I keep saying it's that third guy. You know, the Warriors win for one reason. They have talent, number one. But they have cooperation.
Yeah.
And when you have cooperation with the players and the coach, and they buy in, like Curry, and this is the point people miss about Steph, and I don't think we give him enough credit.
Right. Unselfish.
We keep not talking about him being in the top 4 or 5 players, and he is.
Yes.
All right.
Easy.
But what he did has never really been done. The last year that they lost, that was to us, the ball was in Curry's hands all the time. The following year, Steve Kerr comes in and talks him into buying into a new system. He gave up the ball. What's the stat? He gave up the ball 55% less, and he won the MVP.
Yeah.
By giving the ball up more. So he didn't have the ball in his hands. What he learned is movement. That's cooperation. That team, when you watch them, They have bought in to who they are. They trust it.
Yep.
They trust their coach. They trust each other. And that hurts Klay in some ways because he doesn't have the ball as much. He doesn't get as many shots. But he is a great player, and he's one of the top 15 players in our league.
Go ahead, Magic.
The toughest situation for Klay right now is this. When he did struggle in the beginning, he didn't touch it enough to get out of his struggle, right? He didn't get up enough shots.
That's so true.
So a shooter needs to shoot, right? And we talked about Steph struggling up until we got to these playoffs, and he said, oh, no KD, let me show you what I'm all about, right? And he's been playing great. It's the same way with Klay. Klay now knows he's going to get to his 20 shots, and he plays the game the right way. Listen, man, these dudes are will go down as one of the greatest teams ever to play this game, no matter what happens in this series, right? If they win 3 in a row, man, you got to now, there's a debate, on your hands on if they're the greatest that's ever played.
I'll close the conversation by saying this. As great and phenomenal as Kevin Durant is, one could argue the Golden State Warriors' top priority should be to keep the Splash Brothers together because of how they feed off of one another. Just a thought. Think about that. I got bills to pay. Got to take another break. But next on this SportsCenter special, our final thoughts, plus the details surrounding the high school star who said no to college basketball and yes to getting paid overseas. All that and more coming up. Stay tuned.
On planet Earth.
They get it to Leonard. Fall away for the win. Got it! Got it! I'm on the mission. Flushes over Giannis. The Raptors are the Eastern Conference champions.
Can we work him in a lot?
Kawhi Leonard is averaging 31 points per game this postseason, dropping 30 or more in 11 of his 18 games. Only one player had more 30-point games entering the NBA Finals in NBA history. That would be Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon with 12 in 1995. Kawhi is no secret to the Golden State Warriors. Here's what Coach Steve Kerr had to say about him.
He was already pretty damn good. Finals MVP in 14, I think. So he had become a full-fledged superstar 5 years ago. So he's been a great player for a long time. He's clearly one of the very best players in the NBA, and he's playing at an incredibly high level now.
He's a scorer, and he plays at his own pace really well. You try to speed him up, try to show him bodies, or play him one-on-one, and he has confidence to be able to get to a spot. So it's one of those things where one-on-one defense, you got to take that challenge, whoever's guarding him, try to force him into tough shots.
Guys, we've seen Kawhi Leonard. We've seen him perform. There is just no question that this is one of the greatest players in the world. No question about it. Is he the best player in basketball at this particular moment in time?
Well, I think that, if he can win this championship, it'll put him right up there with LeBron and KD. I think that Kawhi is doing it on both ends, man. And what we're seeing, too, is a guy, now because of basketball, it's about three-point shooting. Kawhi gets most of his points on twos. But he always get to his spot, and I don't care, even if you beat him there, he's so big and strong, he gonna bump you off and still get his shot off. And what we really love, Doc, is that he plays both ends of the court, and he makes always the right read on
He is the most like Jordan that we've seen. Like, there's a lot of great players. LeBron is phenomenal, KD is phenomenal, but not that he is Jordan or anything like that, but he's the most like him. Big hands, post-game, can finish, great leaper, great defender, in-between game. If you beat him to the spot, bumps you off. And then you add his three-point shooting. I never get in that who's the best player. Right. Magic is the best player. Michael Jordan was the best player, LeBron. But it's that same group.
Well, let me go to you with this.
Yeah.
How do you defend him if you're the Golden State Warriors?
It's tough. And that's, to me, what everyone's missing
Durant's
about
absence.
KD.
Yeah.
That's the part they're missing. Because, Iguodala's going to have to do it at times. Klay, the one thing Golden State does have, they have a lot of good defenders. So it'll be Klay. It'll be Draymond. At times it'll be Iguodala. But it will not be a KD, and that's a problem.
Doc, I wouldn't put Klay on him.
Yeah, just size.
This is what I would do. You get yours, Kawhi, because you're going to get him anyway. Stop everybody else.
Which has been done, by the way. We've seen that in smaller doses that happen.
Yes, because remember, Toronto goes through long droughts of not scoring. So I would save Klay, never get on Kawhi. He's not big enough to handle Kawhi. He's great on the perimeter, but Kawhi is so smart, he'll just bag him down, get to a spot, and jump over.
I want to be clear about what you're saying. Are you saying, Kawhi, if you're going to drop 50, go ahead and drop 50?
That's right.
Stopping everybody else?
That's right.
It's a little different, though, with Kawhi because he's so efficient.
Yeah.
I've always high volumes guys, get yours. That has been always, you can get as many as you want because it's not an efficient 50. Kawhi is efficient.
Keep this in mind.
And that's the problem. But I think all those guys will have to guard him at some point because you really don't have Iguodala's going to guard him the most.
Exactly.
If healthy.
And probably Draymond. Because I would save Klay. Klay needs to score and be able to move around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really sacrifice Klay and put him on.
I'm scared of Draymond getting in foul trouble.
Well, foul trouble, but also
whoever guards him is
remember
getting in foul
Kawhi in the
trouble.
last series, he only played the first couple of games healthy. I mean, he was noticeably limping to the point where Nick Nurse had to go to him and say, are you going to go? And Kawhi every time would say, of course I'm going. But we're talking about quad and knee injuries. He was, on one leg, he was the best player in that series, which really spoke to how great to me Kawhi Leonard was.
Yeah.
And he didn't even know which leg to favor and limp on in games 5 and 6. And yet,
let me peel from that. Let me peel from what you just said to go back to Doc and Magic on this. Knowing that, if you're the Golden State Warriors, don't you prioritize pushing the ball up the floor even more because of that reality? Even though you got a few days rest to heal yourself, if the guys got those plethora of injuries,
that's the only way. That's what they have to do anyway.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things when they're really good, Golden State, is when Draymond Green or when any of them are pushed. When they start running and getting the ball up, not only do they score early and getting early points in the playoffs, easy early points is hard to get. When you can get them, you can get them. But it also gives them 20 seconds to run their offense and their movement, opposed to our whole key was trying to get them to 14. If we can get them to start their offense at 14, it's easier. But Draymond was smart enough to know push it up, get them in the stuff. And that's what one of the things Magic was saying is with the ball in Draymond's hands more, it's hard to slow him down. There's not a lot of fours that are going to be up turning the ball. They know that. And that's Golden State will try to score early offense, and that's going to be a key to the series.
It's two things. That type of pressure in transition, whether the Golden State Warriors score or not, what they're doing is wearing you down.
Yes.
Pat Riley used to say this, Irvin, I don't care what happened for the first 3 quarters. Because I know in the fourth quarter, that team that we're playing against is going to be tired because we run. Golden State is the same way. Their best offense, really, in their defense, is their transition game.
And their movement.
So you see them as having a fourth quarter advantage unless Toronto's bench can really help out early enough in the game so that their stars, Kawhi,
or if Kawhi dictates pace.
Well, you don't want to get in the fourth quarter game with Golden State anyway.
No, nobody's going to beat them.
Because they've been there. Like, they know every set. They know every ATO. Like, that's where you get yourself in trouble. Getting in the one-point game, the difference is with Toronto, their one-point offense down the stretch is Kawhi.
Yeah.
And so they at least have someone that may be able to match their greatness on one end.
And then I would say this. Kyle Lowry played an excellent series against Milwaukee, and we're not talking about him. Remember, I love his toughness. He's gritty, and also, too, his shot selection is good, right? He knows who he is, and he's going to get you 16, 18 points, and he's tough as nails. Now, what they have to do is the young fella, Siakam, he's
key.
He's got to have a big series. Because if he doesn't have a big series, there's no way they score enough points to beat Golden State.
I want to get back to Kawhi in this respect. because y'all talked about his poise, y'all talked about his efficiency. They rave about his patience.
You're not speeding him up.
You're not speeding him up. And I guess what I'm asking is, that's exactly where I was going. Is it possible that the Golden State Warriors could potentially try and speed him up, not let him play at his pace?
They haven't been successful at it. Remember this.
Right.
The last time Kawhi Leonard was on the court against Golden State in the playoff game, San Antonio was up 25 at the half.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt, and we don't know where that was going. Golden State was hugely favored in that series against San Antonio, but they were up 25 in game one, and Kawhi Leonard was having his way.
They're not going to speed him up, but what they will do is they're going to send someone.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying they're not, but I'm going to tell you, someone's coming. They're not just going to sit back. For 3 quarters, they are.
Yeah.
But very similar to what they did to Lillard, where they were sending that extra guy. It wasn't a trap. It was almost a corral, a late trap. They're going to do that because they know down the stretch they can't let them beat.
And that's where you got to give Steve Kerr credit. Man, listen, he coached his butt off in that Portland series. And he will come up, just like Doc Rivers said. I hate to call him coach, but Coach Rivers said.
Doc's good.
Doc is good. Because, you know, you my boy. Yeah. So he will come up with a scheme and a plan to try to disrupt Kawhi. But he knows he can't stop him, just slow him down. But those other guys are going to be a key for Toronto. Can Gasol get some points? To me, Siakam is still the guy. I'm telling you, if he has a big series, this series will go 7 games.
I'm looking at him and the ability to hit spot-up threes, and that's where Siakam is a threat, and I give you that. The only question I have when we get back to Kawhi is that as efficient as he is, as lethal as he is, y'all said he's primarily a 2-point scorer, going up against 3-point marksmen. But he's Steph Curry and Klay. I know he can hit the 3.
Kawhi's a great 3-point. I mean, he's above 40% 3-point.
And they always seem to come in critical times.
Yeah.
Offensive rebounds and threes.
He
Kawhi doesn't have a volume, but you look at the impact he had in those 2 areas in games 5 and 6 for Toronto against Milwaukee. They were critical.
I guess what I'm asking is, can the Toronto Raptors beat Golden State with Kawhi being primarily a 2-point scorer, if indeed they're able to take away that 3-point shot?
Yeah, I think they can, but I think Kawhi's going to give you both. I think when you look at his points, he makes 3, 4, 5 threes a game. He sprinkles in everything else. He gets to the foul line. So my answer is yes, he can.
Yeah, and I think also, too, Golden State, I think in the half-court offense, Golden State, they're not going to get as many threes against this team because Toronto can switch. Yeah. See, they can do something that most teams can't do because you can remove Gasol off the court and they still will have a great lineup out there with Serge playing center. So I think that they're going to switch everything.
Ibaka, Siakam, and Kawhi.
Exactly.
Obviously, you got those guys can switch everything.
They can switch everything.
And when Gasol's on the floor, they're going to go to Gasol.
Yeah.
They're going to use him. And so that's going to be the key for Gasol. How valuable can he be offensively on the floor when he's on the floor? If he can't be, then you're going to see more of a box.
Well, see, what I would do is put Gasol in when they bring the second group in. That second group, then play him a lot because he can keep up with those guys.
See, this is what you see. I'm trying to tell you. I'm learning I'm learning basketball. Doc Rivers, Irvin, Magic Johnson, of course, the great Mike Wilbon, and myself. You have to take a quick timeout. But coming up, Klay Thompson was salty about not making an All-NBA team, and it literally cost him millions, like 30. Will he take his frustration out on the Toronto Raptors? We'll talk about that next. Keep it locked right here. Sports Center special with the fellas. Let's get it.